Hello everyone, today we are reviewing the 7+ year anticipated finale, The Syndicator by Rudix. We're starting off strong. I almost DNFed this book. If that's not foreshadowing how the rest of this review is going to go,
it's not going to be great.
And that's okay, it's in my opinions. You're free to like it, whatever. A couple of disclaimers. First part of this is going to be spoiler free. Then we're going to go into the spoilers. Also, there will be very strong opinions in this video. We'll be talking, as we get further into it, there will be spoilers. Additionally, it's okay if we have different opinions. This is labeled as a dark romance, so read the trigger warnings. Last disclaimer, we will not be harassing the author. Even if I did not like the book, we're not going to do that. We're all free to our opinion, and we're going to leave it at that. So let's get right into it. There's going to be spoilers from the previous 5 books. This should not be read as a standalone. We are concluding our story of finding out who's working with the Alliance, who's working at the Syndicate. I think we know at this point who the Alliance was. There was a lot of build up to this book. There was a lot of little puzzle pieces coming out throughout the previous 5, and it should have, keyword should have been concluded in this book, but here we are. I gave it 1 star, almost DNF'd it, but briefly, from a plot standpoint, it felt super like I was getting whiplash. This is not a super big spoiler, but I felt 33% of the book was the characters' inner thoughts and reflecting on their own story. 33% was smut, and 33% was maybe, that's being kind of generous, the actual plot of wrapping everything up. I pushed through this book because I wanted to know how it ended. There was so much build up. Luckily, I read this entire series this year, so I didn't have to wait. I think the first one came out in 2017. I didn't have to wait until then for the conclusion, but I could definitely anticipate and understand the disappointment for people who have been waiting for this for 7 years, and this is how it ended. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you like the ending. Let me know. From a character standpoint, this is a spoiler to my other reviews. Favorite couples: Dante and Amara, number 1. Number 2, I want to say Morana and Tristan, but it's because I liked Morana so much. I didn't really care for Tristan. And then Alpha and Zephyr. And then lastly, Shadow Man, Dane, and Lila, or Luna. This is going to very heavily affect my review of this book because I cannot stand the Shadow Man. He's like, I don't even know if I'd say morally gray. I'd say morally selfish, whatever's kind of in his best interest, even though he kind of has morals sometimes, but like, it's when he has something to gain, really. But from a character standpoint, they didn't really change that much. My favorites kind of remained in that order, but since this was the conclusion, there was so much more of an emphasis on the Shadow Man, Dane, and Lila, so I did not enjoy those parts. I don't really even have that many issues with Lila. It was more so Dane. I cannot stand just his whole like broody and mysterious and like he'll kill for the ones he loves demeanor, but like he's very picky and choosy about who he saves. I'm not a fan of that. Overall, I think there were a lot of plot holes. The pacing of it was really what threw me off the most. It was like, okay, we're going, something would suddenly be uncovered, and then nothing would happen. And then we'd reflect on the past. And it just like really was giving me whiplash, and I did not care. Like, I don't care what you reflected about how far you've come from your book, respectfully, because we already got that in your book. This book was supposed to be like wrapping up all the loose ends and all of them finally coming together and communicating and working together, and there was like barely any of that. We're gonna go into the spoilers now because I don't know how else to talk about this book without giving away specifics. From a character standpoint, like I talked about before, they really didn't change all that much. I wouldn't even know if they'd be like, I'd say that was strong character development. The only ones I feel like there would be are like Lila, because she got exposed to all of them. Dane, I'm not saying he had any character development. I could not stand him. I found him very annoying. And yeah, from a character standpoint, they really didn't change that much. I was just more like, there was so much reflection on where they come from. And I'm like, is this, I know it's tough that like after 7 years in a series, like you're trying to remind people of what happened way back in like book 1, where they've come from, whatever. But literally, I think it took like 150 pages out of like a 500 plus page book of each character. It would go through their point of view and they just reflect on where they've come from. And I'm like, I understand the need to debrief, refresh on what they talked about before, but I don't need the entire inner monologues. I want to get to the plot. I want them to take down the syndicate. That's what we're here for. No other notes on the characters. I like Xander. I liked, what was the other kid's name? I think he went by like, his nickname was Lex, which makes me want to say like Alexander. No, wait, that wasn't Xander. What's the other kid's name? The two that were like buddies or friends and they were working with Dane. I don't know. Let's go into the plot though. It felt super choppy. It was just, like I said, I was getting whiplash. It was like inner monologue and then maybe something would happen. And the inner monologue. And it's tough to have like 10 different point of views because there's, 8, because there's 4 couples. Each character gets their own point of view. Like that's really hard to keep up with. So maybe this book needed to be longer, I don't know. Or we should have just stuck with like 2, maybe. Normally I like some spicy scenes. There was literally one part though, where it was 4 straight chapters of smut between each character coupling. I literally like, by the second one, I just started skimming.
I'm like, why? I know, like,
this is a very spicy series and everything, but we are here. I was like, I want to hear about the syndicate. I want them to exchange secrets and see how the characters interact together. I feel like there was such little. That's like the biggest plot complaint I have is all these characters that were coming together. I wanted to see them interact together more. Like they did, but I feel like there could have been more of that. The amount of just like inner monologue, smut, and then tiny bit of syndicate plot, I was like very bored, and I was like, I would just skip to the end, see what happens. I was very upset Vin died. That felt very anticlimactic. Like I loved him from The Emperor, Amara's best friend who like went undercover. It was kind of like they were hinting at it, that he was dead, but then when it finally came out, I was like, oh, I feel like we kind of knew this already. I don't know. The like plot twist was what was his name? Is it Amara's dad? It's either Morana or Amara's dad. No, because Morana's mom unalives her dad because he adopted her from the syndicate. Honestly, like, I feel like we just needed a family tree in the beginning. Like, these are the people, are they alive still or not? If so, this is how they're connected to the syndicate, this is how they were offed. Like, that would have been helpful. Like, Xavier, I'm now thinking it's Morana's dad who was unalived by the Shadow Man. The whole, like, trafficking side, this is just a very dark subject. So it was, like, really tough to read about with all the kids and read the trigger warnings. I mean, at this point, you've already been spoiled, but I don't know. It was just so uncomfortable to read about. But anyway, the end was so anticlimactic where, like, they figured out Shadow Man Morana is the brains of the group. Bless her. She's, like, probably my second favorite after Amara. because we love our little hacker girly. She figured out Blackthorn was Shadow Man, they met up, and then what did he even end up using her codes for? Was it Abby found the last leader of the syndicate, the master, whatever they call him? Now that I think, I really skimmed the end. I don't remember what that was for, but he gave her info in exchange for her codes. And he's like,
I'm gonna rebuild the syndicate because you can't get rid of it. You need the chaos.
okay, sure. The plot, I'm just talking about things as they come to my mind. The whole like plot twist that Dane's dad was the last leader and that Dane like one of the experimented children. And like, I think Zephyr was an experimented child product. I was just like, there's so many things that I feel like were just being brought up, and I'm like, how does this connect to all these things? Like, what does this mean? You know? I was like, when we found out it was Dane's dad, I'm like, I literally don't even care. Of course, all of their parents are corrupt. Like, whatever. And then like the whole party scene, that was what led to the 4 chapters of Smut, and I'm like, what the F? We're like, they were celebrating something, I literally don't even know what, but they were all dressed up, and somehow, and then they all hooked up after, and I'm like, Tempest was cute. I forgot to mention this in the character part. Tempest, Amara, and Dante's daughter was cute. Honestly, like, there was so much nothing in the plot with like the inner thoughts of just like reflecting of how far they come. I'm like, okay, cool, let's talk about where we are now, let's talk about the present. And then like, the smut wasn't even interesting.
Oh my god.
And there was just so much of it. I was like, let's talk about the syndicate, please. I thought there was barely anything in that anyway. It was very anticlimactic. Let's get into the notable quotes. Spoiler to the spoiler section. These aren't good. These are things that made me literally want to like gag. Also, they were so cheesy. Our first one, this is Alpha standpoint. He calls Zephyr. His nickname for Zephyr is Rainbow because of her, like, she always changes her hair in different colors. And it's quotes like this where it goes, he's talking about how like they'd be okay, she'd be okay. And he goes, there would be a rainbow beyond this or the world would become too dark. And this is unfortunately not the only a standalone, cringy, uncomfortable line to me. There were just so many, like, the worst are with Dane. If you can't tell, I can't stand this guy.
Okay, quick pause. Why do I look like that creepy horror movie creature that is also a queer icon? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Let's just move on because there's a lot of other cringy-worthy things, I'd say. So, Lila asked Dane why he chose to save her and not the other girls. Morally gray, more like morally selfish coming up. And he goes, you asked me why? You? Because you're my flame. He calls her Flamma. Flama, maybe? I always say Flamma. I don't know why. You're my flame, a little source of light and warmth in a void full of darkness and death, small but capable of becoming an inferno with the right fuel. And though I was always full of dark and death for you, I've embraced it, become it, so you can keep flickering without fear. I'm the void all monsters fear, so you never have to be scared of anything. Not with me. And I just know that if some man said this to me, I would literally laugh in his face. Like, I am someone that's very dramatic. I will be the dramatics of a relationship. You don't have to. Anyway, next one. It's another Dane point of view. Oh my gosh, listen to this. He's like observing, he's providing his feedback on each of the people, which is interesting to me because I feel like Lila and Dane obviously have interacted with the main group the least, so it's nice to see them like what the other's perspectives are of them, and vice versa. But listen to what he has to say. So he's saying Lila needed to find her roots to bloom. Her brother would root her, and he, Dane, he would be the thorns on the stem, leaving the soft petals to spread her fragrance while spilling the blood of anyone who tried to pluck it. I feel like we were going for be as dramatic as possible in this book, and we might have achieved it to the point that it's, what are we saying? Yeah. I feel like it's trying to be poetic, and I'm just like, it's missing it with me. Oh my gosh, I have another quote from Dane. He was leaving her little notes when she was living with the main group, and he said, "My atoms miss your voice."
Very good.
Okay. So Dane, remember this gala party thing I was talking about in the plot that I literally could not tell you the purpose of it? He approaches the group as Blackthorn, the CEO of something, and he's like, he brought a gift or something for Tempest, and he was charming Amara, and Lila got jealous. And I'm blaming this partially on her lack of social cues. She was abused the majority of her life. She did not interact with normal people, so she lacks that. But just I'm gonna read the quote, and then we're gonna move on. Amara's eyes widened slightly, and Lila felt a slither of jealousy coiling in her stomach. It was completely unfounded. She knew Amara was madly in love with Dante, and knew Dane was not flirting, but just the fact that his undivided attention was on another female reared up something ugly in the lizard part of her brain. She grit her teeth, narrowing her eyes at him, wanting to stand up and bite that infuriating lip, show everyone that he was hers and hers alone, have him kiss her back so it would be very clear to every single soul present at the party. And I'm just going to blame this on her trauma and why she acts this way, but I'm like, girl, calm down, but also, you're traumatized, so maybe you can't respond in a normal way. Oh my gosh, what is the game with the dramatics? I don't know if it's just Lila and Dane are the dramatic ones. They might be them. Well, Alpha had that weird rainbow quote, but there have also been weird quotes. I didn't see them all, but Lila's talking about how Dane is on their side and everything, and Dante goes, "So he's a good guy?" And she goes, "Oh no, he couldn't be who he is if he was. He's the monster monsters fear, the devil of his own kingdom. But he's my devil, and only good to me, now to you, because I asked him to be." And that's the last quote I have, because I was just it's okay. This writing style's not for me. These are not the type of dramatics I like, and that's fine. That being said, why are we talking this way? This isn't whatever Shakespeare. We don't have to speak in tragedies and poetics or whatever. I don't know. There were so many times where I was just sitting there and I'd be like, what the F? After what they say, and I'm like, why are we this way? No say. Let's talk about the book cover. Book cover is cute. The book covers I've liked throughout the entire series. I like the darkness, how there's people in them. This one's a little bit simplistic for me, but that's okay. It's not bad. Overall, I'm really glad I didn't wait 7+ or whatever years for this series. Felt like a huge letdown. It wrapped up so quickly at the end. There was so much nothing, and then suddenly so much going on. We're going from 0 to 100 miles per hour. Yeah, not super exciting or great. If you like this series, that's okay. We can have differing opinions. Let me know what you liked about it. Maybe you'll change my mind. If you didn't like it, let me know. We can be in solidarity. But yeah, a little bit disappointed. And life goes on. We're not going to harass the author. The author has a lot of personal things going on, so we should be a little bit more gentle. Thanks for watching today, guys. Another book review brought to you by Emily. Follow all the socials and Novellas. if you want to hang around a little bit, subscribe. I wouldn't mind it. Let's have a good time. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Take care of yourself.